to Langy TV and to Lawton Park. I'm Lockie Flanagan, and along with Jonathan Webb from Saxon Productions, we're bringing you this NPL2 Round 11 clash. It's Langwarrin up against the Melbourne Victory NPL team. Under 20s just wrapped up here, just made their way into the rooms. Fortunately, the home side going down in a close one, 2-1 loss to the Victory under 20s. Wasn't the best start this morning in terms of weather, but as it often does at Lawton Park, the clouds have dissipated somewhat. The sun has poked out just a fraction, just enough for us to broadcast this game to you in 1080p quality, streaming live on YouTube for the first time. So if you've come across from Facebook, you can leave comments in the YouTube comments section on this live stream. Feel free to drop us a line, ask us any questions you have, and we will respond to them. That's of course myself and the man standing to the left of me, who has been upgraded from the ranks of social media and has decided to step into this world that we call broadcast media. My offsider alongside me, Stephen Bayliss-White, making his commentary debut. Welcome to you, Stephen.
Afternoon, Lockie. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a bit cold out here, but still a beautiful day for football, and should be a good game ahead of us.
It is a bit nippy, Steve. You're definitely right about that. But in the words of Doug Hodgson, I'll tell you what. If you purchase one of these lovely Langwarrin Soccer Club official raincoats from Kappa, lovely company, every time you come down to Lawton Park, you will be kept nice and warm. Stevie alongside me may be cold, but I am protected from the wind. So if you're ever down here at Lawton Park Reserve and you're a beloved supporter of the Langwarrin Soccer Club, get on down, buy yourself a tracksuit, buy yourself a rain jacket, grab everything you can, support the club. But enough about the merchandising, let's turn our attention to the game today. It's a tale of East versus West in this round 12 clash as we go through yet another round. I believe it's the third so far this season of cross-conference fixtures. Of course, teams from the East taking on the teams from the West. Conference bragging rights are on the line, of course, but so too are the 3 points, which you'd imagine both sides will be equally desperate for. In the eastern corner, we have the hosts, Langwarrin. And after a rough couple of weeks on the road, they've fallen a bit behind the promotion-chasing pack. But despite the results being less than what they would have liked, they still remain fourth on the NPL2 East table. While many, myself included, who attended the game last week at Gardeners Creek Reserve in Burwood, would argue that the 2-1 loss to Eastern Lions last week was, somewhat unlucky. I think the reality is that the squad and us fans watching here have to consider is that as a result of that 2-1 defeat, there's now a 7-point gap between Langwarrin and the top of the table. So 3 points today for the home side are at a premium. They will be looking to minimise. They can't jump any places in the league table. Of course, Northcote City sitting ahead of them on 4 points can only take a maximum of 3 from the game today. But they will be looking to minimise the margin between themselves and the top spot and get themselves well and truly back in that promotion race. And as I said, or as Scott Miller said to me rather, earlier in this week on the Langy Buzz, they've got every chance to get 3 points and return to the winners list when they're in front of the Lawton Park crowd, because it's always a good one, it's always a vocal one, and it's definitely building in numbers as we approach this kickoff. Of course, in the western corner of the conference, we have the visiting side, Melbourne Victory's NPL squad. They're, of course, along with Melbourne City, one of the A-League affiliated youth sides that take part in the NPL2 competition to get some experience and some extra minutes during the National Youth League's off-season, and also get some quality time against bigger senior male bodies. It's a valuable experience for these young players. Common characteristic of these youth sides, from my assessments of watching them over the course of the year, is there tends to be a certain instability in the squad selections, and when we bring you the team selections, you'll definitely see that. Players have a habit of moving regularly between the NPL side, up to the senior side, down to the under-20s. And it all depends on, whether Melbourne Victory coach Kevin Muscat, whether he decides to pick certain players at the selection table. And thus far in the NPL2 West. I think Melbourne Victory's results so far have sort of reflected that instability. Their results have been, something of a mixed bag over the 11 rounds that they've played this season, with 4 wins, a draw, and 6 losses to their name so far this season. The visitors, of course, sit in 8th position on the NPL2 table, but to leave my analysis of that would be doing Victory a disservice, actually. The NPL2 West is shaping as quite a competitive league so far this season. A mere 7 points separating 3rd Moreland Zebras and the 8th place Melbourne Victory on the table, which means that with 3 points, Melbourne Victory could jump as high as 2nd above the Geelong Soccer Club today. So it's Langwarrin on a push for promotion and Melbourne Victory on the quest for consistency. Two sides in dire need of 3 points today, and usually with desperation comes competition. So we're expecting a fiery one, hopefully one with a lot of goals, because that's something that in truth has been lacking at Lawton Park. In the last 2 home games, we've only had the 2 goals, so hopefully we can recapture that goal scoring form that we saw early in the season for both sides, and really put out a cracker to you watching on YouTube Live today. Anyway, now that preamble is on the way, I mentioned him before in the broadcast. I introduced him. He had his little comment about how cold he was, but I think it's time to really bring him well and truly into the discussion and let him get warmed up before we get into this clash. Steve Bayliss-White, what are your thoughts on the game today?
Should be an interesting one, that's for sure, here at Lawton Park. Victory certainly missing quite a few key players today, but Langwarrin obviously keen to improve from some disappointing performances in the league and looking to bounce back from a good performance midweek down at Waverley Wanderers, which they recorded a 6-2 victory.
6-2 win,
so
Covarrubias hat-trick.
Yes, definitely we'll be looking to build from that into some positive league form.
Very nice analysis from you there, Stevie. It's a glad thing we gave you the call up, and as the teams make their way out onto the field here, let's just swivel through the lineups for both sides. We'll start with the visiting team today, and in the sticks is young goalkeeper Matthew Sutton, who actually was on the bench for the Melbourne Victory senior side in midweek. He travelled to South Korea to take on Daegu FC. Unused substitute in that game, but he will hope, barring injury or suspension, to run out the full 90 minutes here today. Number 11, the captain, Brandon Lawton. He's a former Ballarat City prospect. Made the jump to the Melbourne Victory NPL side and also the youth side in recent seasons. Number 3, Aaron Anderson. Number 13, defender Matthew Bozanovsky. 15, Aidan Mustadanagic. That's a fun one for me to pronounce for this next 90 minutes. Number 16, Jack Morton. Number 7, former South Melbourne FC under-20 title-winning player from 2017. And he's got a lovely first name for if you're an Arsenal fan, Thierry Iradukunda. Number 18, Stefan Ristic. Number 8, another one of the members of this Melbourne Victory youth side who made the trip to Daegu in midweek. It's number 8, Birkin Kerdar. Number 10, Yazid Saeed, who's scored 6 goals so far in this NPL2 competition. And number 20, Liston Diaz. Number 22 is the reserve goalkeeper, Branko Skogic. Number 9, Nus Sahavdic. Number 23, Anthony Laban. Number 24, Jack Marth. Number 25, William Wilson. And for the home side today, let's get into the lineup that everyone here watching on Langy TV is really waiting for. In the sticks today, we have, as we always do, every game so far this season, the ever-reliable Fraser McLaren of the McLaren soccer family fame. In defence, it looks like it's going to be a back 4 potentially today for Langwarrin, with Luke Burgess, Captain Courageous Jamie Cumming, Luke Goulding, who's coming up against his former side today in Melbourne Victory, and Jaden Madaffrey making up a back 4. In midfield, we're expecting Callum Goulding, who's, like his younger brother, is taking on a side that he's all too familiar with, the former Melbourne Victory youth. He's expected to start in a midfield that will potentially also feature number 8, Wayne Wallace, who makes his return to the side after missing the game against Eastern. and also Jordan Templin, who's scored 3 goals so far this season. In attack, it looks like Rodrigo Covarrubias, the former St Albans Saint, will lead the line today. He came off the bench and really helped to turn things around on Saturday last week against the Eastern Lions. Despite the result, he was one of the positive performers. And joining him in the forward line, I think it will be David Sturton, who returns after a suspension against Moreland Zebras. And number 17, Damir Stojlovic, the man with the man bun. Excellent. We've got the lineups out of the way. They're there for you as we get closer and closer to this kickoff. Noise starting to build underneath the Gus McLeod stand. Dare I ask, Stevie, can I get a score prediction from you for this one?
I'm going to go out there and say probably 2-1 Langwarrin to come out the blocks early here at Lawton Park.
2-1 to Langwarrin, okay. I'm going to go for the same result, but maybe I'll go for a... Maybe with hope as much as any actual accuracy. We're underway here, of course, at Lawton Park, but I think we're going to go for a 3-2. Make it a bit of a goal fest, why not? That's what we need at Lawton Park and on Langy TV. We need entertainment. As Sutton, who of course I mentioned was an unused substitute in the ACL clash this week. He knocks it up the field, but only as far as Burgess. Just going back to Sutton and Birkin Kurdar, of course. Birkin actually featured off the bench against Daegu for Melbourne Victory this week. Not the first time he's been utilised in that Asian Champions League competition. He actually made his debut, Birkin Kurdar, the number 8 for Melbourne Victory, against Shanghai SIPG in last season's ACL, as Templin opens up the angle for an opportunity. It comes off a hand there. Luke Goulding clips the ball in. It's across the face of goal. There was no one there to poke it home. I have to say, I think I can say with almost absolute certainty, without having a replay immediately available, that one might have struck a victory arm there inside the Langwarrin penalty box. But if I was being completely honest and fairly evaluative, I would say that arm was probably tucked closely by its side. Would you have said the same, Stevie?
Yes, well, probably may have struck the arm, but the call for a handball may have been a bit tough on the Melbourne Victory defender.
Stojlovic tries to clip one in, only as far as the captain, Loughton.
The early signs here for Langwarrin show that they may be lining up with a back three, with Madaffrey on the left-hand side, with Luke Goulding playing the Johnny Cool role out wide on the right.
The Johnny Cool role. I like that description. The thing is, that's the thing when you've got a coach like Scott Miller. The lineup is only so easy to predict, because you really, someone with his tactical acumen, you really don't know what he's going to throw at you. Sometimes it's a back four, sometimes it's a back three. As you mentioned before, watching the Moreland Zebras game, sometimes it looked more like a back two.
Yeah, it's big tackle there.
He's
by
a man
Burgess.
with a great footballing mind, and it keeps the opponents guessing, that's for sure. Liston Diaz has the ball there in the corner, but Luke Burgess sees it out for, I believe, a deep throw-in. Yes, it will be a deep throw-in. My vision obscured by the mighty beast of a camera, operated, of course, by Jonathan Webb of Saxon Productions, and we thank him for this broadcast, as the header's knocked out wide, but it's cleared away by Jamie Cumming, and then subsequently knocked up the park by Stojlovic. He retrieves his own clearance, and Covarrubias wins the throw-in there. Number 7 there, Thierry Thierry rather. Iradikunda knocking the ball out there. As I mentioned earlier, former South Melbourne player, just 19 years of age. Actually, same age as Stephen Bayliss-White and myself, who are standing here underneath the Gus McLeod stand. Thierry actually was, well, he's looking, I would predict that he's going to be a real threat in this game today as he gets on the ball here, the man of the match commentary. He was actually crowned Melbourne Victory's NYL Player of the Season in 2017-18. No such award for the most recent season, but I'm told he was a strong performer nevertheless, as he's involved here again. He shifts the ball inside to the number 8 there. Birkin Kerdar, he looks to be the danger man for Melbourne Victory. He's got the number 8 in his back, but he seems to be occupying more of an attacking midfield role. Would you say that, Stevie?
Yeah, he's definitely looking to get forward and support the number 9. It's definitely his role in the side today from the early looks of it.
Ball's wide with Luke Goulding, taking on probably some of his former teammates. He has featured for the this very Melbourne Victory NPL side this season, so familiar faces for him. Maybe he knows the secret to overcoming this Melbourne Victory side. Wally on return from suspension to Templin, who's having a lot of success on the edge of the box here. Wally tries to clip a shot in, but only as far as Jordan Templin, who fires one as low to the left. Sutton was reaching for it, but to his good fortune, it was wide of the post. Promising signs early though for Langwarrin, would you say?
They are definitely getting forward well and looking to threaten the defence and Sutton's goal. So let's hope for the Langwarrin side of things that they can continue.
We did mention earlier in the broadcast, of course, that this is Langwarrin's first home game in, I mean, it's been a few weeks, but it's you know, for myself being away from the commentary desk, it's felt like a lot longer, and probably for the people underneath the stand with me who haven't seen a home game in a long while, but I think that game the away trip took a bit of a toll on them, and it's nice to see them playing with a bit more attacking fluidity than I've seen in recent weeks in this game so far. Hopefully it continues, because I know that personally myself, and I think probably just about everyone else who's here at Lawton Reserve, wants an attacking contest, and I'm sure Scott Miller will as well.
They would definitely be fired up to come out and attack early here in front of the home crowd, given their disappointing results of late. It's really an inspiring factor for.
Well, I think, as we both know and have seen, Scott's very good at answering questions, especially the ones that I ask of him, as the number 10 here holds it up on the edge of the area and shifts the ball wide. Cuts inside. It's with Kerdar. He tries to open the angle for a shot. It's a nice little 1-2 played there, but can't break through the final line of defence as Iradikunda. Nice little ball roll. Clips wide of 1. He's being harassed there by Covarrubias, dropping deep to pick him up. Shifts it back to Kerdar. He's been involved early. Wally picking up his own tackle. Tries to play it inside to Templin, but it's intercepted there by the number 13, Matthew Bozanowski. Suspects some Macedonian heritage there from Mr. Bozanowski, but it's Melbourne Victory with the ball here in the edge of the area. It's with Kerdar, fires a shot, but that's well clear of the goalpost and also the protective screen behind the goal. So someone will have to fetch that. Usually I would recommend Stevie to go and unleash the ball boy job, but he's obviously here alongside me on the comps today. So congratulations on the promotion, Stevie. Well done.
Much appreciated.
Goulding knocks the ball backwards after what looked like a pretty risky pass inside there across the face of goals. Usually instructed not to do that, but Goulding made it look like it was easy. He tries to clear it, but only as far as the number 20. It's played inside. Goulding with a big lunging challenge there, and he did well to win the ball. It's always dangerous coming from behind like that. You've got to make sure you get the ball, and make sure he got the ball he did. So, well done, that man. Of course, I apologise in advance for anyone who's just listening to the broadcast. There are, in fact, 2 Gouldings lining up for Langwarrin. Both, of course, coming up against their former club today, but I'll try and refer them as Luke and Callum respectively as best I can. So the ball comes down the left-hand side here, but only as far as Luke Burgess. He hesitated for a bit, but eventually clears to Callum Goulding. Nice little interplay with Dave Sturton, who releases Covarrubias. Another nice little 1-2. There's some really fluid passing game happening here. This will be music to Scott Miller's ears. Sprays a ball to Luke Goulding, and he finds him in the area. Can he clip one back for one of the forwards? Sturton has a shot, but it's knocked into the last line of defense for victory there, and Callum with a chopping challenge. He's going to want to make sure that that's one of his last today, because he's already got 4 yellow cards this season, and I think everyone knows what a 5th yellow card means. That means you're not coming back here next week. And he's been a pivotal performer for Langwarrin so far this season, so we definitely don't want that. Kurdar in the center of the park here, shifting it wide to Iradikunda. Clips a low one to the edge of the box. Not getting past Wayne Wallace though. Luke Goulding under pressure from one of his former teammates in Iradikunda there. Thought he might have won a throw in for his team, but instead the ball's in the hands of Luke Burgess for a Langwarrin throw in rather. There's that Callum Goulding and Dave Sturton combination there again, but this time it's less successful. Shifted back to Bozanovsky, the man mountain, or rather teenage mountain, in the heart of the victory defense today. I think to say that this was literally men against boys today, this contest, would be doing a disservice to some of the experienced players in the victory side, and also doing a disservice to some of the youth that's featuring in this Langwarrin side today. A number of players, 23 and under. It's been a real strength of the squad that Scott Miller's assembled as Callum Goulding holds the ball up, plays it back to his brother. Cross is unsuccessful though, but as I was saying, one of the real positives of Scott Miller's team selection, not just his team selection, but also his decisions on who he's brought into the club. A lot of young talent, a lot of exciting young talent that he's putting the faith in. I think, on the basis of the success of players like Jaden Modafferi, Cal Goulding, Luke Goulding since he's joined the club, Jordan Temple, and even Demir Stojlovic. I think on the basis of those youth who have performed, in my opinion, particularly well for the club so far this season, I think the kids are all right, hey?
They are definitely putting in some fine performances. It's just now converting it into some good results, which haven't been able to come by lately for Langwarrin. Here's
Sturton on the edge of the area. Templin fires a strike. Deflected again. A lot of chance creation, but still waiting to come up with something with a really high quality as Kurdar tries to shift the ball there. But that, what looked like a threatening counter-attack, has been snuffed out by Luke Goulding, who shows a cool, calm and collectedness that's probably beyond his youthful years. Stojlovic. He wants an option to come short, and he finds one in Sturton. Sturton clips a ball high into the area, but can't quite get enough revolutions on the ball there to bring it or keep it inside the field of play. It'll be a goal kick for Matthew Sutton.
They are definitely getting forward well here, Langwarrin, but just struggling to test the goal of Sutton as of yet, as we approach the 14th minute of play here at Lawton Park.
Had that one strike from Jordan Templin, one of a number for him already today that looked like it might have some promise, but unfortunately just wide of that left-hand post. But I think definitely something that I've noticed in the past few weeks watching Langy is that they started this season with a real attacking fluency. They were leading the league by a country mile in terms of goals scored, and yeah, they put 4 past Bulleen and another, I think maybe 3 against Northcote.
Yes, it's definitely been the attacking strength of Langwarrin that's really come out early in the season.
Yeah, I think it's just maybe dried up in the past couple of weeks. I think that's been as much to do with the way that teams have lined up against Langwarrin so far this season, as much as it has their actual attacking abilities.
It's definitely been a weakness of Langwarrin's in the past to match up against sides that come to Lawton Park and hope to nullify the attacking strengths of Langwarrin, and that's something Coach Scott Miller has had to deal with.
He's certainly mentioned to me over the course of the season that, and if you've watched the Langy Buzz from this week, you would have heard it yourself, that Scott has definitely referenced the fact that teams come to play against Langwarrin in a certain way, as Dave Sturton wins a free kick there. Teams come to Langwarrin to play in a particular style, and perhaps that's a bit more compact and defensively minded than a neutral spectator would like, and probably Langwarrin would like. And I think the saving grace for them so far in the past few weeks is that they have played football in the right way, but the key is to breaking down the teams that play in that style. And I think that the benefit of this game for Langy is that obviously they really would love to get another 3 points, get back on that winning trail, because it has been a while in the league. And I think they're up against a good team to take on from that perspective, because they're not coming up against a side who, on the basis of this evidence inside the first 15 minutes, they're not coming up against a side who wants to sit back and defend. They're up against another team that wants to play football. And I think that's where Langwarrin's strengths lie, in their ability to fight for possession and recycle it and create opportunities in transition. And I think they're going to be able to have a lot of those sorts of opportunities against a similarly minded team here in Melbourne Victory.
It's definitely seen as a strength of Melbourne Victories to control the game in possession, which is quite different to what other sides have come to Lawton Park to do.
That's what you want to see, though, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah,
you want to see two teams playing football. You don't want to see one team playing to concede as Covarrubias, it's a great ball there. He's got the one-on-one opportunity, but he just hesitated a little bit, and that gave the number 11 there, the captain Brandon Loughton. That is really a captain's challenge there. That's nothing short of heroics there from Brandon Loughton. That was that Luke Goulding with that through ball there? That was quite spectacular, whoever it was. Sturton rises for the header. 50-50 challenge with Sutton. You've seen those given a free kick, but nothing doing there. Sutton launches one forward, looking for the Victory winger out here on the right. He's marshalled well by former Melbourne City player, or Melbourne City youth player, I should say, Jaden Madaffrey. You suspect he'd have a bit of fire in this game up against his old arch rivals. Radakunda out here on the left. He's been bright. It'll be an interesting battle, actually, I think, the Luke Goulding coming up against his old teammate Thierry Iradakunda. I don't know if you've ever, Stevie, in your park career, I'll say, if you've ever come up against someone you used to play with, but when you're spending so much time playing with someone and training with them, you do learn a lot, and so you wonder if that's factoring into the way that Luke is going to defend against Iradakunda today. Whether he knows he likes to cut inside, he likes to do this particular skill move, he likes to shift the ball onto his left, cut inside and have a shot.
It's definitely something that can go both ways too, as well, I guess you can say, Lockie.
Absolutely.
Given that Iradakunda may very well know the potential weaknesses that Luke Goulding may have out on that right-hand side.
Without wanting to sound too biased, I would say on the basis of what I've seen from Luke so far this season, I would say the weaknesses are few and far between. He's been a very cool and composed and absolute quality figure since he's joined the club. When I first spoke to Scott Miller on the eve of Luke's signing announcement, he referred to Luke as what he calls a second-tier player, and not in terms of quality, but rather a player that he sort of sees potential in and would like to develop into a senior player. But in between the time of those comments and now, Luke has really you know, he's not just a second-tier backup reserve player. He's proving himself as a genuine bona fide starter for this Langwarrin team.
He's definitely not here to make up the numbers. The signing came a bit out of nowhere, but yellow card here for the Melbourne Victory defender.
Was that number 16 there? If it was, that's Jack Morton going into the book.
May have been number 3.
Oh, number 3. Aaron Anderson.
Who was, of course, in Korea midweek.
Yeah, he came off the bench, did he not, against Daegu? It's very, very interesting to see the team selection, because some of these players that have played minutes against Daegu in midweek have made the trip here today. But of course, Melbourne Victory are missing a couple of players as Luke Goulding gets the ball out here on the right. He looks to whip in another cross. Will it be low and hard? No, it's more of a middle height cross there, but it's cleared away by Aaron Anderson.
Set piece opportunity here for Langwarrin. Hope to utilise the height of Wallace.
He loves a header, doesn't he?
He is.
Now there's another battle that I want to see. You can probably just pick him out potentially in the broadcast. The gargantuan height of Matthew Bozanowski, the number 13 central defender for Melbourne Victory. The aerial battle between him and Wayne Wallace is what I'm hoping to see here as Sturton whips in a high ball, and it does find the head of Wallace. It's flicked across the goals, but Sutton makes a comfortable save. Not enough power on it to really trouble him. This is with Yazid Saeed, who of course has scored 6 goals so far this campaign. He shifts it to Iradikunda. In the middle of the park with Morton. Iradikunda looking to take on his former teammate, but instead he tries to give it to Kerdar, who shifts the ball inside, but his pass is lacking, and it looked as though Langwarrin were going to have a break there, but Stojlovic couldn't find the final pass. Might come here though as Stojlovic, the former Springvale White Eagles player, picks up the ball again. Sturton on the left-hand side. Goes for the early ball to the top of the box to Jordan Templin. He holds up the ball, looking to create the angle to shoot. Blocked once more. Only as far as Matthew Loughton, who clears the ball away. But I think it would be remiss of us, Stevie, if we were to mention the players from the ACL campaign who are playing. It would be remiss of us if we didn't also mention the ones who are missing for Melbourne Victory today.
Yeah, some key players out for the Victory today.
Yeah, the likes of Jack Palazzolo.
Yep.
Josh
Top
Hope.
scorer.
Yep.
Top scorer, is he?
He is top scorer. And in fact, I'll have you know that between him and Yazid Saeed, who is of course on the park today, they've scored 13 goals. Would you have a guess as to what Melbourne Victory's total amount of goals scored for this season is?
Oh. Take a guess and say not much more than that, Lockie.
It's 21. However, consider that for a second. That's 13 of 21 goals scored between 2 players, and then 7 goals from Jack Palazzolo, scored of a total of 21. That's a third of the team's goals. It's a third of the team's goal output missing today.
Definitely be seen as a positive for Langwarrin, as maybe a way to go forward. And
certainly, and if I were to play devil's advocate for a second, maybe a opportunity for Yazid Saeed as Iradikunda looks to clip one in. Maybe an opportunity for Saeed to overtake Palazzolo as Iradikunda cuts inside, fires a shot, but it's nowhere near the goal face.
As was being said earlier, the absence of those key players for Victory could be seen as an advantage for Langwarrin, but also these players who want to take their opportunities that have come in for these missing stars of Victory's youth team here will definitely be looking to take their opportunities while they have them.
It's a very optimistic way of looking at things there, Stevie. With loss sometimes comes opportunity, and I think that's bigger than football, isn't it? You've given us a good philosophical lesson there, Stephen Bayliss-White. We're glad to have you on board, buddy. Glad to have you on board.
I'm glad to be here.
But of course, also missing today is Ramat Akbari, who's played a number of games for not just in the ACL as a sort of replacement player while the Victory senior side rest, but he's played games in the league and performed very well. Actually thought he was one of Victory's more impressive performers in the centre of the park against Daegu, despite the scoreline.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of key outs. Could be an advantage for Langwarrin Soccer Club. However, could also be an opportunity for one of these under-20s players coming from the under-20 side into this slightly older but still young youth side and make a name for themselves. As Stefan Ristic tries to find Liston Diaz there but is unsuccessful. Stojlovic tries to keep that one in, but can't quite. Don't want to stretch yourself too much. Those high boots to try and win the ball can always run the risk of hamstring strain, speaking with experience. Last thing we want is an injured Demir Stojlovic. And the last thing we want is an injury to any of the Langwarrin players. And it must be said, despite the fact that the results haven't been there in the past couple of weeks, there has been a couple of key absences, particularly in the middle of the park. It's easy to forget that last week, the Eastern Lions did take down Langwarrin 2-0, but they came up against a side, and to be honest with you, in the second half, they were inferior to a side that was missing two of its best players in Wayne Wallace and David Sturton. You'd imagine those ins will play a big factor today, and probably played a big factor in the performance last week.
There have definitely been some early fitness issues sometimes during the season for Langwarrin, with Wayne Wallace and David Sturton missing some matches.
Sturts was, of course, missing through suspension last week.
Yes.
But Medafri is also one that's struggled with a couple of different injuries, in fact. I think it was a calf strain and something also wrong with his back from his work, I believe. So he's missed a couple of games as well. And he was
the lineup for today, Langwarrin can be seen as pretty much full strength.
Yeah, it's
Johnny Cool is on the bench.
It's pretty promising, to be honest, and you've got some decent players on the bench as well who can certainly come on and do a job. Johnny Cool probably chief amongst them. Thomas Amanzi, I've thought when he's had his opportunities over the course of this season, has been a really promising player. He was super involved, not just super performance-wise, but heavily involved in the game against Eastern. Maybe a bit, unlucky not to start this game, but in the context of the players who have been, brought into the side this week, you can probably understand why he's back amongst the substitutes today. As Bozanovsky knocks it back to his custodian there, Matthew Sutton.
There is definitely a lot of central midfield options for Scott Miller here at Langwarrin, so that really gives the flexibility to change his system around.
I think you can tell you're doing something right, though, when you've got competition for places. Iradakunda, nice little no-touch turn there. He's beaten Luke. Tries to go around two, but can't quite do so. The Stojlovic's man bun has lost a bit of its structural integrity there. It's nice to see the long flowing locks as he gallops down that left-hand side. He's going to have to do some covering defending as Medafri's lost his man here, but Saeed can't quite find a way past Callum Goulding. He's definitely not the first player to experience that problem so far, as the ball's chested down here by Dave Sturton. A great opportunity. Fired just over the bar there. A fantastic opportunity. Probably the best of the game so far for either side. That was a fantastic over-the-top through ball there. And wonderfully brought down by Dave Sturton. Certainly showing his, top-tier NPL experience with that sort of takedown, but maybe not so at the finish. But positive signs for Langwarrin in the opening of this game, would you say?
He was definitely breaking away there, and he might be quite disappointed with the final effort, but it's positive signs for Langwarrin. They're getting in behind this Melbourne Victory defence midway through this first half.
Wayne Wallace wins what probably feels like the 1,000th header of this campaign already. Captain Jamie Cumming. Well, Luke Bird is under some pressure here, but as he often does, clears it away or knocks it away with ease. Number 3 there under pressure from Rodrigo Covarrubias. He opts to hold the ball in the corner, and eventually Covarrubias obliges and prods that ball away for a goal kick. I'm sure that's not what he would have intended, but that's the reality. That's the outcome. As Sutton lines up to take this goal kick here. I have to say the angle of that ball was, it seemed like an interesting approach, and it was ultimately unsuccessful. Bit of a weird goal kick, but eventually it's worked out all right for them.
Have progressed the ball up the field here, Melbourne Victory. Looking to gain their first real chance of the game. Get to test McLaren's goal.
Iradikunda, he's come centrally, tries to shift a ball across the field there, and what I can only suspect on the evidence of that pass was perhaps his weaker foot. That's okay. You can't ever improve your weak foot, as I've learned in my unsuccessful footballing career. You can't improve the weak foot if you don't use it. So I just don't use it and forget that it exists. Mine's painted on. Mine's definitely painted on, but at least I can agree, or we can agree, that he's got one and he's trying it. That's what you want to see from a young player. Templin uses every body part except his feet there, the ones he's supposed to use to try and win that ball. It's with Aaron Anderson. Long searching ball looking for Saeed, but Saeed doesn't quite have the height of... Oh, he's won the ball back here though from Madafri. That's a bad turnover. He clips the ball into his opposite foot. Wrist stitch, goes round one, goes round another, hits the post. That was a huge opportunity there for Stefan Ristich. That is a serious wake-up call there for the Langwarrin defence. Mandafri a little bit too casual there, working the ball out of the back third, and Saeed pounced and played a lovely little ball inside to Ristich, but Ristich still had a lot of work to do on the edge of that area, and he managed to shift the ball fairly gracefully around the Langwarrin defence, and to be honest, very lucky that it isn't 1-0 to the good of the visiting side here.
Really did carve his way through the Langwarrin defence there.
Madafri makes up for his mistake before and plays one to Templin, who is looking for that searching over the top through ball that has had some success for both sides so far today, but not that one. Ball's brought down here nicely by the number 20. He's been marshalled wide. It's across the face of goals. There wasn't a central forward there to tuck it home. McLaren got a couple of fingertips to it, but probably not nearly as much as he would have liked, and eventually the ball was cleared away by Madafri. You just have to wonder, Stevie, that chance for Ristich there that obviously smacked the inside of the post and rolled across the face. You just wonder, if Jack Palazzolo had been starting this game, would he have put that away?
It's a question, unfortunately, I can't answer, but
well,
you really have to ask yourself, maybe they are missing some of those players,
yeah.
But
it's merely a discussion point. Yeah. It's very hard to answer hypothetical questions there, Steve. So, but you just wonder if there was a Ramad Akbari or a Jack Palazzolo or a Josh Hope or an Anthony Lesiotis who's in the travelling squad for Melbourne Victory senior side's game against Sydney FC this weekend, a big finals clash, Sunday 7 p.m. on Fox Sports and also the MyFootball app if you're a Telstra customer. Not sponsored by the A-League in any respect, but you should always get around your national competition. You'll be watching at 7 p.m, Stevie?
That I will be.
Big Blue final, Big Blue semi-final, repeat of last year.
It's yeah, they'll definitely be hoping for some more Terry Antonis heroics.
Some forlorn magic. Some forlorn magic. That's what we want. So the ball comes to Iradikunda. Mustadanagic on this left-hand side. I had to check the name just before I said it out loud. And the ball played in a double save from McLaren. Cleared away by Cal Goulding. Victory really hopping on the good foot, and for Langwarrin doing the bad thing, creating some serious opportunities at the moment. But that was quite incredible double save there from Fraser McLaren between the posts.
Two point-blank saves in succession really shows the valuable essence of McLaren in this Langwarrin side.
Yeah, absolutely. But also highlights the danger that this Victory side have still got, despite the absences that we've mentioned. Clearly a lot of threat in this side, and you suspect as we edge slightly closer to halftime now that Scott Miller might just warn his players, not to take this game lightly. It is a weakened side, but as we've seen in this first half, it's still a side that could do some damage.
It's definitely more action-packed first half here at Lawton Park than we've had in the last few recent home fixtures, with both sides really trying to get that first goal of the game, which is difficult to come by at the moment.
I have to say, when I took on the role of commentary, I'll continue that as Mustadanagic fires a shot. The rebound falls to Saeed, but he's flagged offside. Another strong save there down to his left from Fraser McLaren. Mustadanagic is a former Whittlesea Rangers player, 19 years of age, I believe. He's bombed up the field a number of times, but until that shot was yet to do so centrally. But maybe he should consider trying that a couple more times, because it was a decent effort from the former Whittlesea Rangers player there. Cal Goulding misses the first header, but wins the clearance. Falls to Stojlovic. Sturton looks for that return ball to Stojlovic, but it's intercepted. And now Ristic is advancing. There's that 1-2 that they were looking for earlier. Is Stojlovic going to get there? No. Bozanovsky marshals the ball out for a Langwarrin throw. As I was saying before, though, Stevie, when I first took on the role of solo and now co-commentary, the first couple of games didn't have. Oh, it's clipped back inside. Sutton takes the ball. The first couple of games, we have to say, it didn't have the highest entertainment value, and for a second there, I was worried that I was a bad omen. But I think I'm finally getting over that, because this game has been a fiery encounter so far, and a good one to call.
Definitely no goals yet, but that will be quite a prediction to say this.
Don't subscribe to that AFL mentality, Stevie. There doesn't need to be goals to be a good game, mate.
It's more of a question of when, more of if.
You definitely get that feeling. You definitely get that feeling on the basis of the game so far. Been solid chances for both sides. Melbourne Victory probably having the best of them. Liston Diaz shifts the ball centrally. Is that Mustaganagic? No, this is Burke and Kurtar. Another good opportunity, splitting it diagonally across that Langwarrin defence. A great opportunity for Burke and Kurtar, and you'd expect someone with his, senior A-League and Asian Champions League level experience to at least get that one on target, Stevie.
It's definitely a good challenge by Burgess. I'm not sure if he got anything on it, but there was definitely intent there to book Kurtar off.
Sometimes you don't always have to get a foot on the ball, though, to affect the contest. Sometimes it can be about the mental side of things. The pressure, yeah, exactly. McLaren finds the head of Wayne Wallace just about. Goulding with a lovely first-time switch there. How did he even see that? Stojlovic was well and truly in his blind spot, and yet he had the wherewithal and the know-how to clip that ball first time, perfectly weighted as well. Unfortunately, Stojlovic couldn't do any more with it. As Kurtar picks the ball up. Mustadanagic fires one long to Liston Diaz, but he's flagged offside as well. A couple of offsides, maybe a bit of complacency creeping into those Victory forwards for the sake of the passionate fans here at Lawton Park Reserve, and also those ones who can't be at the game today watching on Langy TV. Let's hope the complacency continues. I'm trying to remain as objective as possible, but we do, of course, want the best result possible for the home side here at Langy TV. It's a ball clipped inside to Sturton. Bit too much meat on the bone there as Sutton collects and clears quickly away into the path of Yazid Saeed. He's unable to grab it though.
The strength for Langwarrin here has really been seen to get in behind Bosnanovsky and Anderson in the heart of the Melbourne Victory defence, with both Covarrubias and Sturton getting there multiple times.
Interesting that Aaron Anderson seems to be the one who's been tasked a bit more with the marking of Rodrigo Covarrubias. You'd think the larger and bigger body of Bosnanovsky, who is, of course, as I said, that commentator's curse one-on-one with Covarrubias there. You'd think the bigger body of Bosnanovsky would be trusted to do all of the one-on-one marshalling, but it seems that Anderson's been the centre half that's spent more time, giving Covarrubias the attention. It's just recycled here by Langwarrin, as they love to do, recycle possession around the back four before creating an opportunity. McLaren with a stinger of a ball. Covarrubias tries the inventive back heel, but I don't think anyone was quite in his wavelength there. Good idea though. We want to see positive stuff always in attack.
Good game so far here with positive mindsets from both teams. That's what we want to see here at Lawton Park.
Iradikunda. The questions of the ball going over the line there is Iradikunda shifts it to Mustadanovic. Mustadanovic, I should say. Told you it was a tough one to pronounce. Luke Goulding. Is he going to play it inside to Templin? Templin making a nice little crossover run, and he's created the space there for Stojlovic on this left-hand side. He looks for Covarrubias. Covarrubias tries a chest, but before it can get to him, it's intercepted. Little hush falling over the crowd here as I think the ref, he's either decided to call an advantage for the initial handball, or he's decided that there was a subsequent handball as Victory cleared it out of defence, but it was in fact a subsequent touching of the ball to the hand there. And as a result, we're going to have this free kick to Langwarrin in a pretty promising area for someone with the set piece ability of a Dave Sturton or a Demir Stojlovic. Who's hitting this one?
Potentially a David Sturton special here. We'll be looking to go around the wall.
You think the lefty's taking it on? Interesting. All right, for the sake of drama, I'm going to say, I was wrong. Oh, Sturton fires one. Excellent analysis there from Steve Bayless-White. He's shown me up. I was going to say Stojlovic is hitting that one, but instead, he's shaking his head because he knew that I had no idea what I was talking about. Instead, it's Dave Sturton hitting that one, and good technique, good power on it. Maybe just a little bit too close to the keeper because he didn't exactly have to dive down and grab that one, did he?
A little bit closer to the corner and just a slightly bit more power.
Always difficult.
We may be having a different discussion.
Yazid Saeed looked like he might have utilised the hand there to bring the ball down, but referee chooses not to blow the whistle. Jamie Cumming just manages to get ahead there of the youngster. I mean, they're all youngsters on this Victory side. The youngster Liston Diaz. A crucial clearance from the captain. Let's see how many times I can fit the letter C into a sentence. Sturton in the middle of the park. Losing out to Iradikunda there. Tries to nip a challenge, but can't quite do so. Ristich. Advancing, looks to go around Madafri and looked like he was obstructed there, it has to be said, but referee doesn't seem to be too interested in blowing the whistle today. Not that that's a bad thing. He just likes to let the game flow. And sometimes that can cause frustration, but sometimes it can lead to the open contest we have here as Wallace turns it over to Liston Diaz. Liston Diaz nutmegs one, but once again, for the second time in consecutive Victory attacks, he's not getting around Jamie Cumming.
David Sturton is now strongly becoming a threat for Langwarrin here, hoping to get on the ball in slightly more advanced positions. Of course, the former Melbourne Victory youth player.
He was actually nearly, can't give you the exact date and time, but he was actually in line for a pro contract with Melbourne Victory back in the day. I believe Ernie Merrick was considering offering him one, but in the end things fell through. But you know, in saying that, he still had what's been a pretty successful career. You know, playing for the likes of the Bentley Greens in the top tier of the NPL. So I believe played for, was it Dandy Thunder maybe last year? I'm not 100% clear on that. I'll have to
yeah, I think it might have been at Dandy City last year.
That's correct.
And then the likes of Port Melbourne and South Melbourne beforehand as well.
What am I doing on the head commentary? This Stephen Bayliss-White, he's showing me up with his footballing knowledge. Either that or he looked at my run sheet before the game.
Definitely the first one. Definitely.
Now, we've got to give him credit. Good investigative journalism there from Steve Bayliss-White. Radakunda shifts it back to the defence. Morton is corralled by Sturton, but has the ball back again.
It's 1 minute of stoppage time to be played here at Lawton Park.
I think that's probably a fair assessment from the fourth official. This game's been pretty free-flowing so far, as there's a searching ball looking for Radakunda, but only as far as Luke Burgess. Mustardanagic gets a kind deflection there off Dave Sturton, and I think he'll be pretty happy with that one. Bozanovsky. No, Bozanovsky, I should say. There is a V in that surname. And what a wonderful surname it is. Saeed, Yazzie as he's known here by the supporters on the sidelines. King Yazoo, maybe. Maybe when he cracks a senior team, maybe he'll get that sort of nickname. Stojlovic goes around the captain here for Melbourne Victory, Matthew Lawton. Brandon Lawton, rather. Matthew Sutton and Brandon Lawton. I've combined the two names there, but it is Brandon Lawton, the captain. Former St. Pat's schoolboy, now playing his trade for Melbourne Victory at age 19.
One last chance
Bet
here
you
for
wish you could
Langwarrin.
say that, Stevie.
Yes, I wish I could. One last set piece here for Langwarrin. Burgess looking to add to his account here as he approaches the box.
Why? Last time we had a corner in from this left-hand side, well, maybe not the last time, that's a bit hyperbolic, but one of the most recent times where we had a corner in this left-hand side. We know what Luke Burgess did with it as it's clipped in. It's very high, looking for Wayne Wallace again. It's up in the air. Will Templin find it? He does, but his headed effort isn't knocked wide as we head in to half-time. The scores, 0-0, deadlocked. Do you think that's a fair reflection of the game so far, Stevie?
Chances of definitely be coming for both sides, but Victory potentially with the greater chance there in the 38th minute with Ristich's effort hitting the bar. But definitely both sides will have positive notes to go into the second half with and look to build on it and finally break the deadlock here at Lawton Park.
Who have been the most positive performer so far for your mind?
Radakunda has been highly involved for Victory down this left-hand side, hoping to get forward and cut in. And Cal Goulding has been highly involved in the centre of the park
There's
for
a
Langwarrin.
surprise. Isn't he always?
Trying to utilise his vision and technical ability.
Well, let's see if those players can keep up their performances and see where the scoreline takes us in the second half. Going to take a short little break here underneath the Gus McLeod stand, but as it stands here, it's Langwarrin 0, Melbourne Victory 0. Oh, we're here for the second half of what's been an exciting between the Melbourne Victory and NPLs, of course. No changes at half-time. If we do find anything out, you are, in fact, watching on what is Langy TV's first course, brought to you by Jonathan Webb. Broadcasts today from Saxon Productions, you know, are a big part of the club, you know, including Premier Builders Group, probably chief amongst them. You've got the time. Peninsula Concrete Solutions. Great many number of sponsors that things like this game and this live be back.
I'm glad to be back. Good break, but we're feeling all right now.
Oh, you'll be kicking.
Yes, that is for sure.
And let's hope for more action like the first half, eh?
It was quite a good half. McLaren pulling out quite a few good saves there. Hoping for some more entertainment just like that.
Well, I think generally where Langwarrin are concerned, there's no shortage of it. No shortage of entertainment.
It's definitely been a good game for the neutrals so far. As Sturton attacks here.
Sturton
on the right.
Pushing hard, launches a shot. Oh, it looked like Sutton might have miscalculated there in the Melbourne Victory goals, but eventually the shot sort of drifted wide across the face, but a decent chance to start the second half, and the first chance of this second half, second period, to Langwarrin. Certainly not the best chance of the game, but not a bad one by a long stretch.
It has to be a question on Langwarrin's behalf if the score stays level. When will Johnny Cool, the fan favourite here down at Lawton Park, be introduced?
You'd have to imagine that it's only a matter of time until he makes his return to the side. Gets back on the field as Saeed looks to go around Madafari. Can't quite find the key to wriggling his way around him as Madafari clears the ball. Brought down lovelily, beautifully, rather. That's a much better adjective to use there by Covarrubias, and he's won a throw-in for his efforts.
Johnny Cool can be seen to be being put through his paces here by the might of Alistair Wallace.
Just
back behind the Langwarrin benches.
Getting a nice little warm-up from one of the coaches here at the club, Alistair. He's got a heap of good banter, I can tell you, behind the scenes.
And a heap of facial hair too.
Yeah, that's true. But he's always chipping in with a comment and just bring the boys together. It's good for morale. Ristich beats Templin and Stojlovic with one move. You can tell they're not natural defenders, at least on the basis of that situation, as Anderson shifts it wide to his fullback, who I believe is Mustadanagic. That's an errant pass there from Burgess, and it's allowed Burke and Kurdar to push the ball to the edge of the area. Liston Diaz held it up, but it's come back to Iradikunda. Back with Burke and Kurdar now. He's got a Goulding brother either side of him. There's talk about a family defense.
Bit of a Goulding sandwich.
A Goulding sandwich. Stojlovic clips one into Covarrubias. Nice little triangular passing being executed there by the Langwarrin forwards. It's one thing that's always impressed me about this side is just generally fantastic interplay between the forwards and their attacking midfielder, who is of course Jordan Templin. Ball's come through to Luke Goulding. Can he open his account? He's clipped it across the face of goals, and the ball's cleared away there by the Melbourne Victory defence. He almost looked as if he tried to square that ball across the field to maybe a Templin or a Stojlovic at the back stick, but maybe showing the reason why, you know, he's got a career as a defender and not as a forward, because you thought for all money that he was going to take on the strike there, maybe hit it low and hard across his former teammate Matthew Sutton, but instead the final result was somewhere in between a shot and a pass in the end. You know, you hear that cliche about players in two minds, and that was certainly what it seemed like there. But in the midst of all that craziness and excitement, David Sturton is lining up a free kick from about, I'd hazard a guess at maybe 22, 24, between 22 and 24 yards here. That left peg, let's see if he can improve on the previous effort. He curls it, but it's only as far as the top of that victory wall there. And Thierry, not Henri, but Iradikunda clears the ball. Suspect Luke Goulding there maybe have gotten a bit of a nosebleed, being, you know, he's no stranger to bombing up the field, but in terms of being central in the penalty box, don't often see him in that sort of territory.
Maybe not used to attacking the goal in that sense to finish it himself.
The other thing is, I can only imagine it's a tough mental situation. Could you imagine taking on a one-on-one opportunity to put your new side a goal up in front of the home crowd against your old side? That's a lot of pressure on the shoulders of a young player. And
definite credit has to be given. It was a brilliant ball across, but unfortunately just no one there for Langwarrin to find the final touch.
Anyway, that's our chances well gone now, so that's all we need give it our attention as Anderson shifts the ball out wide to the fullback Mustadanagic, who's been involved. The ball flashes across the face of goals. Madafri clears only as far as Kurta. It's with Ristich. He tries a shot, but it's... Well, I thought it was deflected there by a Langwarrin defensive boot, but the linesman and the referee, the on-field referee, have thought better, or thought differently rather, and credited Fraser McLaren with a goal kick. Certainly seems on the basis of this first few minutes, though, in the second half, that it's going to continue just as it did, or just as exciting as it was in the first. And as a spectator here under the Gus McLeod stand here at Lawton Park Reserve, I can't really complain about that, in all honesty. Loughton, the captain, he's shifted the ball sideways and ran out of room to roam in the end there. And as a result, has coughed up that ball in not a really dangerous area, but one that could provide some promise for Langwarrin, as Stojlovic knocks it past it eventually through Cal Goulding, found its way to Wallace, and now it's with Burgess. With another Luke Goulding, or not another Luke Goulding, but another Goulding. Templin is waiting for a run that didn't quite come, but instead it's with Luke. He clips a nice ball high into the area. Sturton, he loves those headers. Didn't get that one, but Stojlovic fired a shot, but maybe put a bit too much of it into the turf there. But wasn't the first time that we've seen Sturton leap up in the air here at Lawton Park and have a headed opportunity like that. I'm pretty sure he scored a very similar opportunity earlier in the season, but that cross just evading him on that occasion. As Goulding gives a lot of attention to Mustadanagic there. Breaks inside for Callum Goulding, who's up further than he usually is. He plays it out wide to his brother. That would be a nice move for the mum. Covarrubias tries to fire the header on target, but instead it's about a Premier Builders Group advertising lengths wide of the goal. It's a disappointing outcome for a pretty experienced striker with the caliber of Covarrubias, but he hasn't had too many chances today, so maybe he's just getting the eye in, as the striker would say. Or at least that's what I'd say if I missed a chance like that. Wayne Wallace, another commanding header there. And another. You expect nothing less from the big man. Luke Goulding with another promising. He fires the shot, but that one rolls harmlessly into the hands of Matthew Sutton. I have to say, I'm yet to see a Langwarrin possession so far that hasn't involved someone with the surname Goulding so far. They have, both of them, been equally influential so far in this second half. Lawton. A risky pass, but it seems like it's paid off as the ball's with Anderson. He's fairly careless there with his pass, but unfortunately Langwarrin can't exact, or can't punish him for the mistake. Perhaps a case for a caution there for Mustadanagic. Running away with the ball like that, usually not looked upon favourable, but he escapes the referee's book there. Sutton just marshalling his team up the field. Feigned the long punt, but instead goes short to Mustadanagic. Long ball forward, looking for Liston Diaz, and it's eventually found him after bypassing or crossing through a number of Langwarrin limbs. Templin wins the ball off Iradikunda, but long ball unable to find Covarrubias. Aaron Anderson. It's a bit of aerial ping pong happening at the moment. Hopefully this ball can come down. We can have some real football being played shortly. Lawton finally brings the ball to the ground. It's back with Aaron Anderson. He shifts it to his opposite centre-back in Bozanowski, who in turn plays to the captain, his skipper, Lawton. Another errant, wayward pass there from Aaron Anderson. Not his first of the half. Once again, Langwarrin failing to do anything with it as Wallace looks to head forward, but he's taken out there, or at least it seemed as though he was taken out there by Jack Morton, but referee had other ideas. He allows play to continue, and it's with Iradikunda. Shifts the ball to Ristic, who had that excellent chance in the opening half. Kurt on the edge of the box, plays it to Saeed, but Madafri with a crucial interception there to snuff out what could have been a big chance, or a good chance at least, for the Melbourne victory there. I have to say, I'm really enjoying the role that Burke and Kerdar has been playing for Melbourne victory today, just sitting in that hole in between the sort of central midfielders in the attack. Love to see that sort of player who can facilitate that transition and create opportunities.
He's definitely been given the freedom to move around and find the ball in dangerous positions for Melbourne victory today.
If only Kevin Musker gave Keisuke Honda the same amount of agency, maybe Melbourne victory would have finished a bit higher on the table. Templin clips inside, knocks it to Sturts. You really thought that the referee would have played advantage today, given how little he's gone to his whistle, but it seemed like Sturts had a good opportunity maybe to open up the angle for a shot there, but instead the referee drags it back for a free kick. Stojlovic had a free kick delivery from this exact spot against Eastern Lions last week. Couldn't create an opportunity there, but let's see what he can do here. Clips the ball low height and looking for Wallace again. There's only one man there trying to get on the end of those crosses into the box, and it's, or free kicks I should say. It's the Hull-born English midfielder Wayne Wallace. Loves a header. Loves a header. Burgess lets this one roll out for a goal kick to Fraser McLaren, and even gives him the ball back. What a good teammate. Madafri Looked like he was going to knock it off, but instead works it up the field to Stojlovic. Stojlovic given some attention by Matthew Lawton there. And wins a free kick for his troubles. Burgess. And there's long balls out of defence, not always finding their intended targets. Game's maybe becoming a little bit scrappier than I'd suspect either coach would like at the present moment. But you'd hope that some semblance of fluidity will return to this game shortly, as we saw probably the first 50 or so minutes of this game. They've actually got a substitution occurring here. Shall I delegate to my offsider Steve Bayless-White to confirm who's coming on and off?
Looks as though Liston Diaz is being replaced by, I'll give it my best try, new Sahavdic. Sahavdic?
We'll go with Sahavdic.
Apologies if that is incorrect, but
If the Sahavdic family is watching and we've butchered your name, please let us know in the comment section. We will correct it forthwith. But for the moment, it's Sahavdic trying to win the header, but instead Cumming is victorious in that battle. Knocks it out for a throw-in.
a long throw looking to be utilised here by the Melbourne Victory.
Wouldn't be the first time we'd seen one of these at Lawton Park.
Bozanovsky. Aimed at unsuccessfully.
I like the motive behind the substitution for Langwarrin. Sorry, for Melbourne Victory, I should say. You know, just maybe sensing that this game is devolving into less of a footballing contest and more of a scrap as the points become increasingly important and the pressure increasingly intense. You know, just maybe getting a bit more energy into the park, and perhaps maybe Langwarrin should do the same as Saeed goes around a couple, plays a ball low into the area looking for Ristic, but it's a crucial interception there from Wayne Wallace as McLaren clears to Stojlovic, but there's not out of danger yet, but they are now as it's cleared away to Morton here on this left-hand side. Into that man again, Birkin Kurdar tries to find Saeed, but oh, that's a rash challenge there in on Jamie Cumming, and that's the kind of foul you'd usually expect to see go the other way, but instead Birkin Kurdar maybe shows his youthfulness there against, here we go. Stop saying what I'm saying, because perhaps the substitution of the day is happening, and who is it for? Steve Bayless-White.
Johnny Cool, the fan favourite here at Langwarrin, will be coming on to play the Johnny Cool role, as previously stated. And it's Luke Goulding who's been replaced. Makes our job a little bit easier with just the one Goulding now on the field.
Interesting decision to take off Luke Goulding. I thought he'd had a fairly positive day, to be honest.
A little bit more.
You'd suspect it's less of a change as Templin looks to clip a low one in. It's with the feet of Covarrubias. Bicycle kick effort, but couldn't generate the power from that spectacular kick there. But you suspect it's Lawton runs the ball out of the play there. You'd think that it was less of a question of a poor performance from Luke. I think maybe just a tactical change, maybe injecting a bit more attack into the contest, because you think taking off a defender for an attacker, that's the sort of mindset you get into, going for the win, and probably a switch up in tactics now.
Yeah, Johnny Cool definitely offers slightly more in an attacking sense than Luke Goulding has, and the fresh legs also will help Langy here as we approach the 64th minute.
Both coaches trying to liven this game up, get it back to where it was. Good, you always like seeing positive substitutions like that. Neither side is playing for a draw here, as Kurdar plays it to Sahavdic there, but he was on a wavelength that his teammates simply were not there. Do always like a target man that Sahavdic sort of seems to be, who can sort of lay off those first-time passes. I'm, of course, a unfortunately an Arsenal supporter, and I've come from the Olivier Giroud school of thought. You bring the ball down to the feet, lay it off. That's sort of the Rodrigo Covarrubias kind of role, and see if Sahavdic, the substitute, can do the same for his side.
Definitely adds a physical sense to the victory attack, which may have been lacking up until now.
Yeah.
Different element that they're bringing.
Out wide to Stojlovic. Is he going to get the chance to finally take on Matthew Lawton? He does. Can he get round him, though? Just being held up, but a nice little ground cross there played, but only as far as Bozanovsky, who oofs that one away for a corner. Which, of course, we already know will almost certainly be looking for the head of Wayne Wallace. But as history has proven, might actually end up finding the head of Luke Burgess. Wouldn't he love another goal from a corner in front of the home crowd? I believe it will be Stojlovic to take this one. In fact, I'm certain it will be Stojlovic to take this one. Clips it in. It's very high towards the back post. That once again, need I even say it, was looking for Wayne Wallace. Wallace is sort of having the ball crossed to him in not the most threatening position. You suspect that maybe they're not actually trying to get Wallace to head the ball in, but maybe clip the ball across the face of goals and create an opportunity on the ground.
Definitely looking for those second balls.
It's with Wallace now. He plays it back to Templin. Another interchange of pass. No offside. Questions of offside. Low, hard ground cross. Found Templin! That man, once again, every time, almost every time we come to Lawton Park, it's Jordan Templin with a low, hard, spectacular, powerful strike to break the deadlock. He is that X-factor player for Langwarrin.
Questions
Lovely
about offside early on there
goal
for Wallace, but clinically finished in the end by Jordan Templin, who continues his fine season here for Langwarrin after making the move from Bulleen. Clinical finish.
That's yet another spectacular and/or important goal for Jordan Templin here at Lawton Park. And finally, the game has this goal, or the goal, that the attacking play so far has deserved. But sometimes that's, it wasn't the prettiest of goals in terms of the build-up, but make no mistake, the strike was one of, some power and quality.
You just have to think back to those early chances for Ristich and the likes in the first half that produced great saves from Fraser McLaren. Maybe be regretting those chances right about now. Looking to get some better chances for sure.
See how that goal changes the complexion of the game. Stojlovic picks the ball up on the edge of the area. It's with Templin again. Will he try another shot? He clips it in this time. Looked like Covarrubias was going to get in the end of it, but just stumbled at the crucial moment there. It's unfortunate for Covarrubias. He's had a couple of good chances. Probably hasn't got the purchase on them or the accuracy that he'd like so far, but positive signs.
Of course, coming off a hat-trick midweek against Waverley Wanderers in the FFA Cup, Covarrubias will definitely be looking to add to his goal scoring this season, having been the high scorer for Langwarrin so far in the league as well.
I think it's Burke and Kerdar down with an injury on the other side of the field there. Have more details on potential injury as they come to hand. Looks like he's okay. Doesn't look like he's limping too much, but standard procedure. He will have to take the side of the field. Wallace clips one out wide to Johnny Cool, who is flagged offside. Couple of murmurings of offside in that opening goal for Jordan Templin, but the reality is that I don't think Langwarrin or the home side will be particularly bothered, as Covarrubias gives a lot of attention there to Aaron Anderson and eventually concedes the free kick, but maybe a little soft there. Maybe a little soft. I don't know. Who's to say? Only the referee knows, arguably. Melbourne
Victory here looking as though they're going to make another change. Have confirmation of that shortly.
Will it be Kerdar coming off, or I believe he's returned to the field? It will be Kerdar coming off, I think. That's an interesting decision as Johnny Cool runs the one-man attack, but unfortunately the problem with one-man attack is sometimes you run out of options, and certainly did in that occasion there. So with Morton. Ball searching for the number 9 there, Sahavdic.
The number 23, Anthony Laban, who comes on for Birkin Kerdar for Melbourne Victory here.
I have to say, if that is an injury-forced substitution for Birkin Kerdar, that's a big disappointment for this Melbourne Victory side. Certainly been one of the more important players, and let's see if Anthony Laban there can perform the same role. Madafri, under pressure from 2, but manages to squeeze his way around both of them. He's got Stoilovic on the inside, but instead tries to play it down the line, but wins a throw in. Madafri receiving orders from Captain Jamie Cumming just to slow it down. He gives the ball to Stoilovic. Covarrubias holds the ball up. That's his trademark. That and goal scoring. Lovely switch of play there to Luke Burgess, who in turn brings it down nicely. Johnny Cool, the excitement machine, looks to fire off a shot. It's low and hard, but can only find the bottom left corner of the Premier Builders Group advertisement. Unfortunately not the bottom left corner of the goal, but call it superstition, but since Johnny Cool's come on the field, goal. Coincidence? I think not.
David Sturton appears to have picked up a bit of a knock in that aerial challenge there.
Play is continuing in spite of that injury. Lifts a high one, looked like it might have been goalward bound, but Sutton had it covered. Wonder if the ball will be played out now as Sturton limps along the edge of the area. It's played through to... Looked like it was going to be a big opportunity there for Sahavdic.
Some challenge by Wallace there.
That was a good challenge, an important one. You expect nothing less of a man with his NPL experience, though. It's with Cool again. I've had to call his name a number of times. He's been the real focal point since coming on, and here he is down this right-hand side again. Cuts it back to the goal scorer, Jordan Templin, as a hush descends over the crowd here at Lawton Park. Stoilovic twisting and turning his way around to the Melbourne Victory captain Lawton, but Lawton shoves him into the turf and he's given away the free kick. Wonder what the fate will be of Dave Sturton. He was limping there for a bit. Thought maybe he might not be able to continue, but as of yet he remains on the field, and you wouldn't want to see him come off because he has missed a few games through suspension, but you wouldn't want to see him miss any more because honestly they've looked like a different side with him in it. Stoilovic whips it in once more. There's a header. It's a glancing header from Luke Burgess, but unfortunately he can't find the goal face. Another foul conceded there in the opposing corner this time.
Quite a few set pieces in this match for Langwarrin. Not too many effective ones though, so they'll be hoping to improve that.
Wonder if they might change the approach on this one. I mean, there is the old school thought that said if at first you don't succeed, try again, but sometimes that isn't always the way to go in football. Sturton clips this in. It's looking for Burgess once more, but cleared away there by the Victory defence. They did try a different option. They usually seem to go for Wallace or Burgess. Sometimes they end up finding both and one sets up the other from the headers, but I think that was a positive delivery there. Just
bit of a lower and harder ball in from Sturton.
Templin looked like he'd been impeded there. Wallace knew exactly what he was doing there, I have to say. That's an experienced defensive midfielder's challenge there, just throwing the arm around Morton there, just to make sure that that ball didn't end up going anywhere dangerous.
Jordan Templin now.
Templin's remained down on the field after what looked like an ankle clipping for one of the Melbourne Victory defenders, but you'd hope he'd continue because he has quite literally been the difference for Langwarrin. But he just does so much for this Langwarrin side. He's got, at that attacking midfield position, so much pace and dynamism and energy that he really controls the tempo of the game, I think, going forward for Langwarrin. If he's advancing quickly, the players around him are advancing either side of him. It really dictates the flow and the manner in which Langwarrin press forward on the attack. So it'd be a real shame to see him have to leave the field for any reason.
One element of his game which is probably highly underappreciated by the general viewer is definitely his off-the-ball work as well. His ability to put pressure on defences and
he's a
hard.
real energizer bunny, isn't he? Like on the ball, off the ball, he is always moving at great pace, whether it's pressing the attack or putting on a press against the defence. He is, I think, really, I definitely agree. Underrated. It's understated the amount of work that he does put in for this side.
He has returned to the field, so positive signs for Langwarrin and Jordan Templin in particular.
Excellent news.
Thomas Armazi does look like he's getting ready to come on for Langwarrin here.
Wonder if that change will be for David Sturton, perhaps.
Looks like he's holding that groin, which has caused him trouble earlier in the season.
Meanwhile, Templin appears to be moving around fairly freely as Wallace wins the header there, but only as far as the number 23, Laban. He's got the ball back on the edge of the area. Morton shifts his way around one and plays it to Iradakunda.
Johnny Cool here gets away.
Advancing at speed, the crowd getting behind him. He tries to go around one, but he can't go around all of them. On his day, he can go around the entire team, but unfortunately, he could only get around a couple there, and eventually the ball was in the hands of Lutton. But you can just see what he does for this club when he gets on the ball. Everyone in uproar as he advanced on the field. As that promising attack for Saeed there is snuffed out by McLaren. I have to say, though, one player whose name was at the forefront of our lips in the first half, but has really dropped off the radar in this second, is Iradakunda. He was probably the most promising player, along with Burke and Kerdar in that first half, but hasn't had too much of the ball in this second half.
He's definitely looked to have switched sides onto the right-hand side at the moment. Takes away the ability to cut inside. Looks like the change, maybe two changes here for Langwarrin.
Double substitution here, and I think Sturton's number is being called. We'll have confirmation on who's replacing him. And
looks to be David Sturton being replaced by Alex Van Heerwarden.
Heerwarden. I'm glad you pronounced that before me, so I knew what to do when it came up.
Big Al, the Langy boy.
Beloved figure here at Lawton Park, and Wayne Wallace coming off. Interesting. Who's he being replaced by there, Stevie?
Thomas Armazi, it looks like. Wayne Wallace stopping by to have a little conversation with the referee, maybe just taking up a little bit of extra time here for Langwarrin.
Like I said before, he's an experienced professional.
Bit of gamesmanship there by the...
Everything that he does is done with an ulterior or a thought in mind, an ulterior motive. And
maybe a change of system too here for Langwarrin with the centre half of Van Heerwarden coming on for Sturton. Definite defender on for attacker.
Yeah, it does look like they might have switched there to a back four potentially, with Luke Burgess coming out to the fullback spot. But we'll have more news on the tactics as the game develops. Looked like Saeed might have been breaking away there, but the referee's blown for a free kick. Should be taken by Cal Goulding.
Victory, of course, still have one more change left to make.
Call on this right-hand side. Is he going to clip a ball in? He tries, but it's...
Did it strike the arm?
Hard to tell from this angle. Didn't seem to me like it struck the hand of Mustadanagic.
Soft appeals there by the Langwarrin players.
That's what we do know, and as a result, it's a corner for Langwarrin. Stojlovic to take.
Ability to use the...
Takes it quickly, he goes low and hard, tries for that flick onto Burgess. To say, it didn't look like the number 9 there, Sehavdic, looks like he took a lot of Luke Burgess when they took that ball there, but referee had a better view of it than me, and
Van Heerwaarden here does offer another element from a set piece.
Well, he's going to have to work hard to beat the aerial presence of Wayne Wallace. Goulding on the edge of the area, tries to fire the strike. Would have loved a goal against his old club, but unsuccessful. And now the ball is with Yazid Saeed rather. Switched across, looking for Ristich, but a
brilliant challenge by Marty there
from Thomas Amati.
Doing the dirty work there, the former Warragul United midfielder.
Warragul United. Is he not State League 1 player of the season, I believe?
I believe that is correct,
Back in his days with Warragul. Another undervalued player for Langwarrin. Really always comes off the bench and does a job. Speaking of jobs though, Langwarrin, particularly the defenders, have got a job on their hands to keep the scoreline the same way that it stands now as we tick into the final 9-10 minutes of this game.
Melbourne Victory here looking to utilise their set piece ability, which they haven't had too many opportunities this match. Punch clear by McLaren.
Cleared away by Van Heerwaarden there. Long high ball, looks like it might have found Sahavdic, but instead McLaren claims it. Madafri launches a nice switch, looking for Johnny Cool once more. Decides not to take a touch, but now he brings it down. Cuts inside, tries to clip it to the back post, looking for Stojlovic, but it does find him eventually. Can he find the angle to whip this ball in? He just instead decides to hold the ball up in the corner. Play to Amanzi, first time cross, looking at the back stick for Cool, just over his head. And out of the Langwarrin defence, and it's with Saeed now. Van Heerwaarden, bit of a nervy moment there from Big Al. Let the ball roll under his foot. Always an embarrassing one. Suspect that is a booking for Burgess. It is a booking. Sixth of the season, I believe.
Definite change of shape here for Langwarrin. Big Al has just slid in next to Jamie Cumming in the heart of the Langwarrin defence. With it now becoming a back four.
To take a more defensive-minded approach and try to manage this game. And let's hope for the sake of the fans here that they can do it as the ball's clipped in here. Looking for Bosanowski, of course they are, but can't quite find him. Covarrubias clears it. Long and strong, but only to Sutton. Or Sutton, rather. Morton. It's played out wide here to Saeed. There's a good challenge from Van Heerwaarden, who punts the ball away once more. You understand the need to get the ball as far away from the Melbourne Victory penalty area as possible, but you do want them to hold possession as well, because you can't concede when you've got the ball, but sometimes clearances are necessary.
Radakunda here, struggling to get in the game still. Trying hard, but not too much result here in this second half.
Bosanowski with the switch of play. Another long ball looking for Laban there. He brings it down, but Heerwaarden says, I'm having that, and he punts it out.
Highly involved since his introduction here.
He has been, yes.
Alex Van Heerwaarden.
Haven't seen too much of him so far this season as Ristich plays it back to his man mountain defender in Bosanowski, but had a positive impact on this game so far as Radakunda looks to get himself back into this game, but Stojlovic marshalling him well at the moment. Lawton, the captain, trying to do it all himself, but he can't quite as Amanzi intercepts the ball off him. Lawton tries to win the ball back, but it's with Covarrubias. The banging sound you're hearing is the sound of Rodrigo Covarrubias' attempted long ball hitting the roof of the Gus McLeod stand. Madaffery, one of many throw-ins that he's had today. Bozanowski winning the header. Bozanowski again. Ustadanagic, long ball looking again for the runner Saeed. Tell you what, he made a lot of ground there on Van Heerwaarden. Unfortunately, couldn't make up enough to get to the ball before it rolled out over the touchline, but clearly a youngster with an impressive turn of pace.
He's definitely been lively throughout this 90 minutes here. Little end product, but that could soon change.
Dynamics of this game certainly shifting as Melbourne Victory search for that equalising goal, and they're running out of time in which to find it. Saeed with the inventive flick to Laban. Saeed looks like he was going to receive the ball there, but goes down fairly easily under the challenge of, I believe it was Cal Goulding there. I think he might have been searching for it there, unfortunately. Maybe a little bit of contact, but the theatrics was such that the referee simply couldn't give the penalty on principle. And fair enough too, it didn't look like there was a great deal in it.
A little over 3 minutes of normal time remaining here at Lawton Park. Melbourne Victory will definitely be hoping to get some more closer attempts at goal and threaten McLaren's clean sheet.
McLaren probably deserves the clean sheet, to be honest, on the basis of some of the saves he's made there, as Amarzi plays it diagonally to Cool, who loses the ball. Back with Amarzi now, he shifts it wide to Stojlovic. Looking again for Cool, but Bozanowski, as he's done so many times in the last 10 minutes, marshals the ball out of danger. Goulding. Templin. We know what he can do from that sort of area, but he's usually capable of a lot more than that. He usually likes to shift it forward and unleash the strike, but just let the ball get under his foot, and perhaps frustration cutting through there for Covarrubias as that foul was called. And he goes into the book for some words with the referee. Melbourne Victory having a lot of possession in this final stage of the game, but you have to say a lot of it has been sort of non-threatening possession. You know, possession in non-threatening areas. You suspect that maybe Scott Miller is, telling his boys just to, don't over-press. You don't need to press in non-dangerous areas like that. So happy to let them have the ball in those areas.
Langwarrin have definitely been doing a better job come this second half in nullifying the possession in the dangerous areas, as previously said. Scott Miller there with a bit of a juggling effort, showing off the skills.
Maybe interested in running the clock down a little bit there, but impressive tackers nonetheless.
Just showing off a little bit. He's well in his right to do that, I think.
Morton clips one in, but Fraser McLaren was off his line almost instantaneously to claim that one. Suspect he won't be in a hurry to get this one out. Yep, there we go. There's the obligatory throwing of the ball onto the floor. Cool, goes to the 50-50 challenge. Doesn't win the ball, but wins the throw-in. Rubius trying to hold the ball up in the corner, run down as many seconds and or minutes of the clock as he can, and that's possibly the best outcome you could ever hope to have from one of those sort of situations. You're just asking for the defender to knock the ball, get a little touch on it, and knock it out for a corner. And fortunately for Covarrubias, defenders are all too happy to oblige.
Looks as though there will be 4 minutes of additional time here at Lawton Park.
4 minutes.
And Melbourne Victory looking like they will make their final change as well.
Covarrubias heading for the corner once more. Starting this sort of tactic a bit earlier than perhaps is kosher, but if it works, then why not? And it is working for them at the moment. Melbourne Victory can't seem to get the ball off Covarrubias. I mean, that's comes as no surprise with someone with the hold-up play abilities of the former Melbourne Knights forward. Is there a substitution happening here for Melbourne Victory, Stevie? A final, third and final change?
It looks as though there is. They're just delaying it until a greater time.
Amazi takes on the strike first time, but fires that about 3/4 of a Langwarrin light post tied over the goal. So not a threatening chance, but one that does consume a lot of seconds. And that
looks to be Jack Morton being replaced here for the Melbourne Victory.
Is he being replaced by the number 25 Big W?
Yes.
None other than William Wilson. Great name. Templin, look at that energy, look at that sprinting. Didn't quite get the ball, but you love to see that sort of determination in the final minutes of a game.
Bozanovsky there, loses the ball but wins it back. Struggling to get forward here, Victory. Ineffective long ball.
Iradikunda garnered the attention of a couple of Langwarrin defenders. But manages to trick his way into a throw-in. Bit of a chill just starting to descend over Lawton Park, but I can assure you it'll be nice and fiery if the full-time whistle is to sound with the scoreline remain the same way as the long throw comes in, looking for Anderson.
Cradles that ball like a newborn child, McLaren there. Just 2 minutes remaining here.
Grateful to have it in his hands. Searching ball, looking for Covarrubias, but only finding the number 15.
Have to get this ball forward here early, Victory. They want to get a chance. Looks like a foul throw, not given by the referee. See if he can get it in properly this time. Yep.
Burgess, you suspect he'll shield this ball out. Yep. It's little surprises there, straight up and down. Spoke to him on Thursday and he said, oh, actually, no, not Thursday, a week ago from Thursday, and he said there's not too much thought necessarily into the way he likes to go about it, but he's just someone who always steps in and tries his hardest and gives probably not even 110, maybe possibly 115% for the club. And sometimes the simple things can be the best things, and especially in that situation, it was what was required as Fraser McLaren sends it long and out. Not the best result for Langwarrin, that goal kick, but could have been a lot worse. Loughton shifts one way, then the other, and again with Laban. Tries to clip in an early ball, looking for Ristich at the back stick, but it's cleared away by Burgess. Now to Johnny Cool, he flicks it over one. Can't flick it over two. However, the referee judged that he was impeded by Iradikunda there, and Johnny Cool's won what could be a very, very important and maybe final free kick.
Be interesting to see just how longer the referee plays here. Time is up. 4 minutes of additional time has been played. He stopped his watch here. They do
like to allow one last attacking chance of the game, but you have to wonder who that'll fall to.
And here we go.
There's the final whistle. Langwarrin back at home and back on the winning trail. 3 points against the Western Conference-based Melbourne Victory side. And if you can hear the rapturous applause, or what was a rapturous applause from the home side, you can tell exactly what that means to the spectators here and probably to the squad on the field.
Big win by the Langwarrin boys against a somewhat undermanned Melbourne Victory, but a very positive Melbourne Victory. And given their performance, they have to be happy with coming away with a 1-0 result in such a tight fixture too.
The thing is, you can mention the lack of personnel for Victory all you want, but for the home side Langwarrin, they can only play the players in front of them. They can only deal with what's ahead of them, and they've dealt with it fairly comfortably. There were a couple of opportunities for Victory, certainly in the first half, but I don't think they threatened nearly as much in the second. I think Langwarrin probably edged them in the second half until they, did sort of step back and concede. But that was more of a conscious choice to step back and defend. So I think Langwarrin, certainly for my mind, controlled the second half and probably deserving of the 3 points at the end of the day.
There's definitely not a poor Melbourne Victory side out here today. They definitely put in an effort, which they are very disappointed they didn't get a result. Over in the corner there, the Victory players look distraught, and understandably so to an extent. They were putting quite an effort and quite unlucky there in the first half to not break through with that amazing double save by Fraser McLaren and Ristitch's chance, which hit the post.
Yeah, I think the heroics of Fraser McLaren in that first, and also to a lesser extent in that second half, really can't be understated. The scoreline would obviously have been completely different had he not been between the posts today. So definitely one of the more positive performers. I'm not sure if I could maybe pick a standout today. I think everyone, as often happens at Langwarrin when they get the 3 points, I think everyone performed very well as a team. Difficult to single out any particular individual, but ultimately, man of the matches, shots on target, shots off target, hitting the post, fouls, yellow cards, red cards, all of it doesn't matter. The reality is the only thing that matters is the scoreline, which of course was today Langwarrin 1, Melbourne Victory 0. 3 points. Staying at Lawton Park as this crowd gives the home side a rousing round of applause here. And they deserve it. As the home side make their way into the rooms, I think that's where we're gonna leave it. But just to summarise, in case you've only just joining us at the end of the broadcast, not sure why you do that, but the final score: 3 points to Langwarrin. Langwarrin 1, Melbourne Victory 0.